about that.
Yeah. Well, my journey is a little complicated because
Mm-hmm.
Nerdy Girl has started in college before I even became a
Mm,
professor, and it was just a
got you.
t-shirt line. And I tell people this all the time. I'm saying your idea will be as good as you.
Mm-hmm.
So the more that you educate yourself, the more that you experience, the more your idea will develop. I had no idea that in college this t-shirt line would become a workforce development program for women. What?
Yeah,
But
that's crazy.
becoming a professor, getting my master's, building, interacting with the community of entrepreneurs, that aided in the transformation of my idea. And so for a long time, I had a 9 to 5, I was teaching, and I was running my business. So I was still trying to find ways to make money
Mm.
because
Right, right.
I wasn't yet stable to go off on my own until I think it was 2019 where I went off on my own. And the game changer or the shift for me that allowed me to go on my own was not just confidence or taking a risk. It was investing in a coach. That was
Mm.
where I wanted to go. I think the conversation around taking that leap is a bit misconstrued.
Yeah.
Um, it doesn't look the same for everybody. Like I
Mm-hmm.
had different things going on that made me really, really tired. And thus I wasn't giving the high level work that I was doing. And so I had to make a choice to drop something.
Mm.
And with all this education that I have and all this experience, it was time to bet on Monica.
Mm.
This $100,000 education that I have, it was time
Mm.
to put it to use. And I was
Put it
in
to use.
a fork in a road where I had everyone in the professor realm and the more traditional friends were saying, well, your next step is your PhD, right?
Mm.
And I love the idea of being Dr.
Mm.
Stockhausen
Doctor.
for sure, right? Like I love that, right? It really stroked my ego. But there was nothing, um, the financial aspects and the time spent was not something that I was interested in anymore after at already accomplishing my master's degree. And I was looking at the debt, my debt to income ratio. I had to calculate the cost
Mm-hmm.
of that. And I was like, ego stroke or more debt.
Right.
And I had to make that real decision. I had to think about my income trajectory, where I wanted to go. And I think that's important that people are not seeing education as this investment. They're seeing it as this very emotional thing, but because that's how it's been
Mm.
marketed. Oh,
Yeah.
education is the key to say, yeah, it is, but
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be in, institutional style all the time. So I had to really shift to be a little bit more logical about that decision. I said, well, where is it that you're trying to go and what is the lifestyle that you're trying to have? And the PhD wasn't going to get me there. I wanted to travel. I wanted to run my business. I didn't need a PhD for that. If I wanted to do research and continue my faculty journey, then I wanted to do that. But I decided, I was like, well, I actually don't want to stop here at faculty. That means I've
Mm.
stopped experiencing business and I've stopped experiencing life. And that means I'm capped out on
Mm.
what I have to offer. And I don't like that. So I had to make a big decision, PhD or entrepreneurship. And I
Mm.
said, look, I've already invested $100,000 in myself. Let me invest. I think I invested maybe 10,000 more on coaching, business
Mm.
coaching. And that's crazy, right?
Wow.
$100,000 in like masters, bachelors versus like 10, $20,000 in business courses. And which
Mm-hmm.
one really made me the money? It was
Yeah.
the business
Yeah.
courses that I paid 10 grand for, you know what I mean? And so and that was a decision I made in 2019. And it has been a thrill since then.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a struggle initially because I had to quit my 9 to 5, which was scary. That was secure income.
Yep.
But I was able to get unemployment, and then I had my part-time teaching to hold me over. So for the first 3 to 6 months, it was
Tough.
tough. Um, it was really tough, and
Mm-hmm.
because now the pressure was on me to figure out how am
Yep.
I going to make this a thing. And business
Mm.
coaching wasn't a thing yet; it was still nerdy girl.
Right.
So I had to figure out. I was using all the coaching that I had and so forth. How was I going to make this thing? But I was willing to make it work. So I got sick at that time because of the pressure, the amount of pressure that I put on myself. I had caught some type of rare virus. It wasn't coronavirus at the time. It was something else that I had like rashes all over my body,
Wow.
itchy. I was bedridden. I was hospitalized because of the intensity of it all. And then I just decided that, in that moment, I said, I want to make sure that I run my business in a way that is not working against me and against my
Mm.
body and
Mm.
against my mind and against my heart. Because what's the point of it all if I'm in the hospital? That hit me like a ton of bricks. What's the point of it all? I want a high quality of life, a beautiful quality of life, and I'm in the hospital. But yet you see the narrative is um, hustle, no sleep.
Mm. Yep. Yep. Talk about it.
And it's
Yeah.
a lie. We don't,
Mm.
we shouldn't have to sacrifice our bodies and our minds and our hearts in order to get these very materialistic things. I believe that you can create a business experience that works for you and honors how you naturally and instinctively work and still have the material things that you desire.
Mm-hmm.
And that shift for me was so important because it showed me that I can create whatever experience that I wanted and that I didn't
Mm-hmm.
have to subject myself to whatever the current narrative was or the current status quo for entrepreneurship. And that's hard. I had to unfollow some folks on Instagram because of
Yeah.
that.
I
If
hear
they
you.
were speaking that language, I was like,
Mm-hmm.
nah, unfollow because I
Mm.
don't believe in that. And that's why I'm on this podcast because I feel like the Beautiful Struggle podcast believes in what I believe in is
Mm-hmm.
that honor your psychological or personal development on the way to achieving the things that you want to in business. So that shift for me was crucial. Not that I completely wrote into it and was like, yeah, I got
Mm-hmm.
I
Right.
understand
Right.
everything. It still took a while for me to really implement that as part of my lifestyle principle, but getting sick was a huge shift in saying that, Monica, you have to find a better way to do this. So I invested in another coach.
Mm.
I,
Wow.
like
You
I'm
know
no
it.
longer scared to invest.